big four agenda as we formulate MTP4. Nikimalizia nataka kusema that we have had some experiences in Makueni which perhaps in our discussions today and going forward can be entertained in the formulation of MTP4. We have something that we call clusters because we organize ourselves from the village level, then a cluster. We have roughly over 3,600 villages. We have 377 clusters, and then we have sub-wards, and we have wards, and we have sub-counties. And from the 377 clusters, we have something that we call community-led development. The communities have a fixed sum. We started with 500,000, and the target is 1 million shillings. And those clusters are able to identify projects that are very close to them. They make a decision about them. They do them, of course, with the county administration, the technical people, the county administration, national administration at the local level. And the money is placed in an account of that cluster. And so they kind of control that. And they are paid for the work that they do for themselves. And this, when we piloted, this was very popular because the people are addressing development problems which are micro, like a road where, you know, they have been carrying people when they pass on because there wasn't a road, and they do that. They do some water something. They do, you know, things that are dear to them. And therefore doing it in 307 clusters puts income into the community and also gets some micro development work achieved. And this we have tied it to work towards livelihood guarantee, something that happens in India where there is an attempt to ensure that nobody is without an income, particularly the most vulnerable. So this is something that we suggest in the medium. This kind of innovation can be considered. For the youth, when there was the border, that was a very, very important aspect of youth getting employment, although they don't own most of the borders. They are owned by somebody else, and they are paid on a daily basis. They retain certain monies. But it might be an interesting thing to consider the border sector to be a youth sector. So that even if now a youth is, like I have a border and a youth rides it for me, I may be able to sell that border to the youth, and then the youth owns it. So that it is suggested that let us ensure that this is a youth-driven economic sector. Because when they do that, even the discipline that we are saying is lacking could come, and then they would have significant employment. And to try to ask what else from the M-Pesa, which really revolutionized our economy, then the border, which also revolutionized our economy, what is the next step of something sustainable that can get very many people into opportunities and employment? And I think if we consider financial intermediation, and we make sure that there is affordable credit, so that people don't fuliza, but there's affordable credit for young people and for not even the young people, for more. I think this is an area of exploration which can give us another easier way for people to access the economy. We tried to have an NM microfinance bank, but we were not yet successful because of certain rules from the central bank. But again, for counties, without microfinances and without monies being available at a cheap level, cheaper interest and all that, it will not be easy for people even to do the private investment in the counties and so on and so forth. So that's something else that we also recommend. And there are many other things which will come from this very able group. Kwa hivyo sisi tunafurahi sana kwa sababu PS akija hapa pia huko kwao, hapa ni nyumbani kwao, na tunashukuru the National Treasury, because although there was COVID, there was depression of the economy, wamejaribu, they have tried as much as they can to keep the country afloat, to help counties. Sometimes in the county, Bwana PS, they don't know that because of your COVID na economy kwenda chini, pesa saa ingine inachelewa. Kama sasa hatujapata kwa mwezi wa pili na watatu, lakini watu wanasema governor lipa. Na unajua mimi siwezi kushitaki serikali kuu. Nasema bado tu pesa kuna mahali imekwamia kidogo inakuja. But we have those who know how economies work, we have to congratulate you, because you have worked under a very difficult situation when the money, because of the revenue, taxes were not as much as before. We know in the world some economies almost collapsed under the strain of COVID. So at least let me say, mmejaribu, na tunajua kwa sasa COVID imeisha, imeendelea kuisha, things will will become faster and we shall end well. So asanteni sana wale wamehudhuria. Tafadhali tuseme kila kitu ndio kiingie katika miaka 5 hii ya kuplan economy na development zetu, na kwa sababu nyinyi mtasema na sisi, any documents we have, we shall also bring them forward. I think we shall do well. Sasa na waomba tusimame. Tupige makofi matatu ya kilo. Kofi ya kwanza, ingine. Karibu Bwana PS.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Governor, for those remarks. I have a simple task of delivering the speech on behalf of my Cabinet Secretary. But before I do that, let me do the official thing. His Excellency Governor, Professor Kibuda Kibwana, Governor of Makueni, my friend Kasim from the DCC, is the DCC for Makueni, Bondo, representing the County Commissioner's Office and all the leadership from Makueni County, especially the County Commissioner's Office, the leadership from the county government, wale watu wengine ambao nimekuja na wao, watu wengine kutoka serikali kuu, watu wengine kutoka sehemu mbalimbali, nataka kuwasalimia mjambo. Vile mmeambiwa, mimi naitwa Julius Muia, nimezaliwa Makueni, mahali panaitwa Emali. Kwa hivyo mimi ni mmoja wa nyinyi, na yale maendeleo ambayo profesa ametaja, the cluster, nimeyaona mimi mwenyewe. To Tuwapigeni makofi kwa Makueni. Thank you, thank you. So I think before I make the remarks that I'm going to make on behalf of my cabinet secretary, let me just say a few things. And I'll be very brief in the interest of time. And one of the things that I wanted to do is to just congratulate Makueni County. Huu mpango wa public participation umeendelea good, and talking about village level, clusters, sub-wards and wards, and all that innovation, I want to say very well done. But then go and say, when you do a good thing, you should not rest, because any good thing can be improved. So I want to challenge us in Makueni. That is my first point. After congratulating us in Makueni, I want to challenge us. What more improvement can we do on this public participation innovation, so that we can even document a world standard that can be shared with other countries, so that we go and tell people in New Zealand, Kathmandu, other parts of the world, one of the innovative ways of development that we have invented in Kenya, and specifically Makueni, is this cluster-based something, and we should call it a smart name, yeah, so that when you pronounce it somewhere in developed country, they think it is something which is being developed in the heaven or somewhere outside the earth. So that is my first challenge, and also by way of telling us, look, there's more that we can do on the basis of what you have achieved. The other point that I want to share, and we all know, you know, economists wanasema wants are unlimited. Yani yale mambo ambao tunataka kufanya, they are unlimited, ni mengi, hasa katika development. But then the resources, rasilimali, to be used for that development are limited. So I want to encourage us to do what the English people say, thinking outside the. Lakini I think we can advance it. Instead of thinking outside the box, why do you need the box anyway? So you think without the box. So that is the second thing that I'm sharing with us. That is there a way in which we can ask ourselves, the little that we have, how can we make it do a lot more for us? And that is thinking without a box. So if you choose to forget a lot of things that I'm going to say, I've already said two things that are very important. That innovative model of development, of public participation cluster thing, and also thinking without a box so that we make our money do a lot more for us. And there you'll be looking for efficiency and effectiveness. When I was in school, we were told there's a big difference between efficiency and effectiveness. We were told you can kill a fly with a sledgehammer. Unajua nyundo? Unakasirika, unachukua nyundo, unaua inzi. You are effective because you have killed the fly. You have smashed it. But you are not efficient. You used a lot of energy. You used a lot of energy. You could have taken some piece of stick and killed it. So how can we apply that framework of being efficient when we are being effective? That is using as little resources as possible to achieve that which we want to achieve. So from now onwards, I want you to remember that analogy of it is effective to kill a fly with a sledgehammer. Yani nyundo, ile tindo, ile kubwa. Ya? Mnahitaji wanaume hiyo kubwa? Kiba. Yani kuwa ngina chao. It is not efficient. What is efficient is to use less energy. So that is my challenge to us. I want also to say there's something about development the way we are doing it now. That development is not being imposed on us by an outsider. We are planning it ourselves. And so because we have been given a chance to plan this thing ourselves, I believe we can bring our best to bear. Our best to bear in our planning. And I want to say, the English people say, failing to plan nimesikia, is planning to fail. So failing to plan is planning to fail. So hatutaki watu wa Makueni to plan to fail by failing to plan. So vile umechaguliwa na umekuja hapa, nataka kila mtu achukue kalamu yake, achukue karatasi, aandike yale mambo ya maendeleo ambayo unaona yatatupeleka mbele. Yeah? I am assuming that there are no passengers here. Yeah? And I'm very clear. The moment I look at you, I see people who are going to write things which are important, people who are going to share good ideas about development. So let us not plan to fail by failing to plan. That is why you are here. And so we want the best of your attention. Even if there is something else that is disturbing you, nyumbani, sijui ng'ombe ziliwachwa na nani, sijui kuku yako ilienda kwa neighbor na umepigiwa simu, let's ignore that for the time being. Let us focus on what we have come here to do. So finally, so that I can finish off with my brief comments before I read the speech, there is a comment that was made by Governor about resources, funds from the national government. I want to say we are doing the very best in circumstances that are very difficult. In fact, if COVID had appeared before Mizungu started speaking, they would have a word for COVID, which is not difficult. Something else more difficult than difficult. What is it? The situation is more difficult than difficult. So what do you call that one? Impossible. The last event globally that was like COVID was 1914. 1914 to 18. Hands up who was in government that time here. That we can ask, how did you survive? 1914 to 1918. Mikono inuliwe wale ambao walikuwa katika serikali ama walikuwa katika leadership mahali 1914-18, watuambie how they survived. So, good people, I want to tell you, we did not have anybody to ask how a pandemic like COVID, you cope with it. And good people, we were able to cope with COVID. So nataka tushukuru Mungu how we have managed to go through that very, very tough period to the point that we have vaccines available. Na sasa siku hizi tunawasihi watu waende kupokea hizo vaccines. We have more than we have people who want to take them. Initially, our problem was, especially for me in National Treasury, utatoa bilioni sijui gapi wapi to buy vaccines. Now, because of how the national government has looked at how to support our vaccination program, we have managed to amass more vaccines than people are willing to take. So I want you to ask yourself, nimechanjwa mimi? Na kama umechanjwa, uulize rafiki yako ambaye au karibu na wewe, amechanjwa? Na kama rafiki yako amechanjwa, uulize watoto wako kule nyumbani, wamechanjwa? Na marafiki zako wamechanjwa? I'll leave that as a question to you. And so with those few comments, I want to say in the national government, we are very clear to support the county governments, to support the government development agenda. And one of the areas where we are very keen on is the area of financing businesses, small and medium enterprises, where we are working with commercial banks, we are working with savings and credit cooperative societies to make sure that there's a framework that SMEs can access money in a more simpler way than they have been accessing before. So those are discussions that are ongoing. We have some program that we have started, and we hope it should be able to benefit our SMEs going forward. So, Your Excellency, I have made my remarks. Allow me now to read the official speech that I was supposed to read. And this one is not mine, so I'll just read as written. So this is the statement of the Honorable Ambassador Okuyatani, who is the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Planning during this fourth medium-term plan of 2023-2027. And this is in the County Consultation Forum that was started on Monday, 28th of March, and we will close them on 4th of April, 2022. So it is this great pleasure to welcome all of us to this County Consultation Forum for the fourth medium-term plan, 2023 to 2027 of Kenya Vision 2030. The consultation forums, which are running concurrently in all the counties, have been organized to provide opportunities for stakeholders and the public to discuss and propose county development priorities that will form basis for the fourth medium-term policies, programs, and projects. I want to repeat that. This consultation forum will come up with development priorities that will form the basis for the medium-term plan policies, programs, and projects. 3 Ps: policies, programs, and projects. So, ladies and gentlemen, he proceeds to say that the National Treasury and Planning, through the State Department for Planning, has initiated the formulation of the fourth medium-term plan, and this medium-term plan will succeed the third medium-term plan, which was for the period 2018 to 2022, and the implementation of the third medium-term plan will come to an end in June 2023. So, in this fourth medium-term plan, it will implement the fourth phase of the Kenya Vision 2030. He says that it is worth noting that the fourth medium-term plan will also implement the second last phase of Kenya Vision 2030 and will set the momentum for transiting into the next long-term development framework after Vision 2030, because we shall have now a new development framework from 2031 going forward. So he proceeds to say that the preparatory process of the fourth medium-term plan will be lengthy. It will be stretching to early 2023, so we are just starting. And it is a very involving process that requires participation of all of us at the national and the county governments. So, in line with constitutional requirements, this fourth medium-term plan is being prepared through wide consultations in various forums that include consultations with various medium-term plan sector working groups, also county consultations, forums that we are undertaking, like this one we are undertaking today, and also another session will be the National Stakeholders Validation Forum that will be held shortly before finalization of the fourth medium term that we are doing now. So, ladies and gentlemen, the fourth medium term plan has adopted a theme which is spelled as follows: accelerating socioeconomic transformation to a more competitive, inclusive, and resilient economy. So this is driven by the need to transform our economy, the need to create the much-needed wealth and employment, also the need to reduce poverty and inequality, and also the need to create a conducive environment for investments. He goes ahead to say, indeed, strengthening these tenets that support the theme will ultimately transform our country from what is called lower middle income status that we achieved in 2014 to an upper middle income status that is envisaged in the Kenya Vision 2030. So, as you are aware, the year 2020 did present to us a unique and a big challenge. And that is what I've mentioned, the COVID-19 pandemic. This pandemic, as we might remember, negatively affected performance of the global economy and also our domestic economy. And also, because of this, we experienced loss of many lives and livelihoods, and also we saw subdued economic activities that resulted in a growth which was negative. For a long time, we have not had negative growth. So in 2020, we had a growth which was 0.3 minus, 0.3% minus, okay? So my minister goes ahead to say, we have, however, witnessed significant recovery, with the second and the third quarters of 2021 registering about higher growth than usual, which is a rebound of growth to 11.9% and 9.9%. So the second quarter of 2021 grew by 11.9% the economy, and the third quarter by 9.9%. With this then in mind, we are preparing this for the medium-term plan, which is very clear in terms of what we want to achieve. So our focus on this for the medium-term plan is implementing strategic interventions and also ensuring that we drive our economy towards a sustainable growth trajectory, which is envisaged in Kenya Vision 2030. And so the fourth medium-term plan naturally will build on the gains which were made so far in the key sectors of the economy, including completing projects which were initiated during the previous development plans. And from Vision 2030, we had the first medium-term plan, we had the second medium-term plan, and as I said earlier on, we had medium-term plan 3 that we are implementing up to June 2023. So the fourth medium-term plan will strive to revitalize performance through productivity enhancement in all sectors of the economy, as well as emphasizing intersector linkages and promoting cross-sector collaborations. This will build requisite synergies to drive the economic growth. And so, like the medium-term plan 2 and 3, this medium-term plan 4 will be guided by Kenya Vision 2030 and also the Constitution of Kenya. It will also draw from the aspirations which are outlined in the manifesto of the political party which will be forming the next government after the next general elections, which are in August 2022. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the draft medium-term plan is expected to be ready by end of July 2022. So we will have a draft ready by 2022. And this will be so that when the elections are held, we have something which is available at a draft level. So the draft then will be subjected to a validation and endorsement process involving what is called NSC, that is the National Steering Committee. After the National Steering Committee, it will go to the National Stakeholder Forum, then at the national government level to the Cabinet, the parliamentary committees, and then finally the National Stakeholder Validation Forum. Once validated, the MTP will be published first, then it will be officially launched, and thirdly, and lastly, it will be disseminated in all the counties. In the same spirit, it is expected that the county governments will develop their county integrated development plans, which we know, CIDPs, were very famous. That will be aligned to the Constitution, to the Kenya Vision 2030, and the medium-term plan 4. But also, these CIDPs will also have to espouse and recognize the appropriate regional and international development agenda which we are pursuing. So in order to achieve our country's aspirations, which are envisaged in Kenya Vision 2030 of coordinated development planning, both at national and the county governments, it is important that we pull together in the planning process. So the government does recognize counties as foundations and sources of socio-economic prosperity, and hence has been continuously putting in place a number and several mechanisms to ensure there are significant and important linkages between national and the county government plans. In this spirit, the National Treasury and Planning and other ministries, departments, and agencies have continued to work very closely in diverse areas, including areas such as capacity building with the county governments. I assure you, that is what my minister says, that this spirit will continue as we prepare to witness our country's prosperity, moving to upper middle income, and also in a situation where citizens continue to enjoy the fruits of development. So my minister says he's aware that Makueni County has been implementing their CIDPs 2018-2022 and has registered great achievements. These achievements, together with lessons learned, should therefore inform the formulation of the next CIDP covering the period 2023-2027. So the National Treasury and Planning, in collaboration with the Council of Governors and other key stakeholders, is reviewing guidelines for preparation of CIDPs. These guidelines will be shared with the county governments to facilitate preparation of county policies, programs, and projects for the next 5 years. So, as he finishes, he says that today's consultations forum are very important, and especially this one we are doing here, in terms of the fact that this exercise will ensure that all segments of our society are part of the fourth MTP preparatory journey. He assures everyone that your views are highly valued and go a long way in enriching the fourth medium-term plan. So after the forum, the National Treasury and Planning will develop county consultation forum reports to be shared with all MTP sector working groups to inform formulation of sector policies, as I said before, programs and projects. So in conclusion, my minister invites everyone to openly discuss and also propose county development aspirations and the priorities that will ensure achievement of inclusive and balanced development throughout the country. I thank you, and he says, God bless you all. Asante sana. Thank you.